In a quaint village, nestled at the foot of a misty mountain, there stood an ancient tree known as the everlasting tree. Towering above every other plant in the valley, its gnarled trunk was thick with age, its branches sprawling wide enough to provide shade to the entire village square. The villagers loved this tree deeply, for it was not just a magnificent sight, but also a source of life, offering fruits, shelter, and even stories of its age-old endurance. Not far from the everlasting tree, in the same rich soil of the village grove, a young sapling named Sprig had just begun to grow. Sprig was small, with a thin stem and only a handful of tender leaves. While the villagers flocked to admire the everlasting tree, Sprig often felt overlooked and unimportant. One sunny afternoon, as Sprig stretched its tiny leaves toward the warm light, it gazed longingly at the towering everlasting tree. Its shadow reached far, its fruits gleamed in the sun, and its thick branches swayed gracefully in the wind. "I'll never be like the everlasting tree," Sprig sighed aloud. "Look at how tall and strong it is. No one notices me. I'm just a weak little sapling." A wise old owl, perched high in the everlasting tree, overheard Sprig's lament. The owl, with its silvery feathers and piercing amber eyes, had lived in the branches of the great tree for many years. It had witnessed countless changes in the village and had seen many saplings grow. The owl swooped down, landing gently beside Sprig. "Why are you so troubled, little one?" it asked in a calm, soothing voice. Sprig hesitated, then confessed, "I wish I could be like the everlasting tree. Everyone loves it, and it's so magnificent. What's the point of being a sapling like me? I'll never be as great as it is." The owl chuckled softly. "Do you know the story of the everlasting tree?" Sprig looked up, curious. "Number what story?" "A long time ago," the owl began, "the everlasting tree was just like you, a small, fragile sapling. It wasn't always the grand tree you see today. It started with a single sprout, rooted in the same soil as you. Back then, it wasn't the tallest or the strongest, and no one came to admire it. It faced fierce storms, blazing summers, and biting winters, just as you will. But do you know what it did?" Sprig shook its tiny leaves, eager to hear more. "It didn't waste time comparing itself to others," the owl said. "It didn't look at the flowers and wish to bloom like them. It didn't glance at the bushes and envy their quick growth. Instead, it focused on growing its roots deep into the earth and letting its branches reach toward the sky. Day by day, season by season, it grew. Slowly, steadily, and true to itself." Sprig listened intently, the owl's words sinking in. "The everlasting tree is magnificent, not because it tried to be like anyone else," the owl continued, "but because it embraced its own journey. Every tree is different, Sprig. You have your own unique path. Comparing yourself to others will only distract you from becoming the best version of yourself." The owl spread its wings and flew back to its perch, leaving Sprig to ponder its words. From that day forward, Sprig decided to stop looking at the everlasting tree with envy. Instead, it focused on its own growth. It soaked up the sunlight, welcomed the rain, and let its roots stretch deeper into the rich soil. Seasons came and went. Sprig weathered storms, endured harsh winters, and blossomed in the warmth of summer. Slowly but surely, it grew taller and stronger. Its branches stretched outward, offering shade and shelter. Birds built nests in its canopy. Children played under its boughs, and weary travelers found rest in its cool shade. Years passed, and Sprig had grown into a magnificent tree in its own right. It was not as tall as the everlasting tree, nor as ancient, but it didn't need to be. Villagers came to love Sprig for what it was, a strong, vibrant tree that brought joy and comfort to those around it. One day the owl returned, now older and even wiser. Perching on one of Sprig's sturdy branches, it said, "Look at you now, Sprig. You've grown into something remarkable, not by trying to be like the everlasting tree, but by being true to yourself." Sprig rustled its leaves in gratitude, realizing the truth in the owl's words. It didn't need to compare itself to anyone else. It was perfect in its own unique way. And so, Sprig stood tall and proud, a living testament to the wisdom of the owl and the beauty of embracing one's own journey. For true greatness, Sprig learned, lies not in being like others, but in being the best